It's the final Monday of October. Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Monday weather update recorded on October the 30th. And we've got a lot to talk about again. We've got this big low to the north of New Zealand. Now, the good news is it has already peaked in power. So it's running out of steam over the next 24 hours, and by Wednesday, it's completely gone. Now, the reason why it's windy, there's a squash zone here in between the low and this high out over the Chatham Islands. Naturally, lows that are in the subtropics, the Coriolis effect, the way the Earth spins, means that these lows like to pull to the southeast. But with a big blocking high in the way, that's the reason why that low has barely moved in the last couple of days. And it will move a little further south over the next 24 hours into Tuesday, but it weakens at the same time. Now, there's also another low pressure system here south of Australia that is about to come up and bring us some further unsettled weather into the New Zealand area, but this time more of a westerly flow. So kind of back to what we're more used to, I think, for this time of the year. So we've got some windy weather around. This is lunchtime today. As you can see, that gusty wind coming right through around Auckland, Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Coromandel area. Worst of the winds around the Kaimai Ranges in my hometown of Te Aroha in the eastern Waikato, where those winds really do howl over the top of Mount Te Aroha and the Kaimai Ranges. And anyone around that area knows all the way up the eastern side of Waikato will be very windy today. Now over in Australia, similar winds but coming from a different direction, a nor'wester for Canberra, ACT and the mountains and ranges, gusts getting up to 80, 90 kilometres an hour, potentially even over 100 for some of you. Now back to the rainfall, and with that squash zone kind of driving in the same wind for another day, heavy rain continues and sort of sticks around the same places. So Gisborne and East Cape likely to get up to 100 millimetres or more, and also seeing sort of 60 to 80 millimetres for the western side of Bay of Plenty, and about 40 or 50 millimetres further south into southern parts of Hawke's Bay. Now, for farmers, this is actually good news. The rain will be welcome as we go into much drier months ahead. And in Australia, not very much in the way of rain. We've got a few showers though in the south and a couple of heavier showers just north of Brisbane there. All right, let's get into the forecast. So Tuesday lunchtime, the low is finally moving southwards now that the high to the east is clearing away. So that allows the low to move in, but it's being smothered by high pressure behind it. Thank you to El Nino, which puts more high pressure up here. So that low, it will fall apart. By Wednesday, it's completely gone. Now, El Nino, some of you are probably a little surprised getting a low like this. We were certainly surprised to see the severity of a tropical cyclone up around Vanuatu last week. But El Nino is not a weather forecast. It's kind of a climate driver, which means it doesn't completely stop everything and makes it all windy westerlies every day. It just means that westerlies and high pressure up here are more likely. But it means in spring, we can still have everything thrown at us. It makes spring more spring-like, which is why we've seen records broken with wind and temperatures so far this spring in New Zealand. So having a low like this, yeah, it's not exactly in the drawing book for El Nino, but we're in New Zealand. We're a long way from the equator and we can get all sorts of weather thrown at us. So it's worth being prepared, especially in spring. And just one last thing, some people talking about how cold it is at the moment. Actually, many places are above average. But the daytime temperatures, they're not overly flash for some of you, but it is worth pointing out, I can't remember the exact year, but about 10 years ago or so, Auckland had its coldest ever October maximum temperature, a daytime high of around about 9 degrees from memory. It might have been 10, it was in that area though. That's very cold for Auckland, and so we're not as cold as that at the moment. So it just shows you while it feels cold, we're not necessarily breaking records with it. All right, let's go into Wednesday. The low is gone, and here's the new one coming in from out of the Southern Ocean, Australia area, and that brings westerlies back. So yes, a few showers still lingering, but mostly clearing up now for a time on Wednesday. And then by the time we get to Thursday, that low, pretty weak at 1,007, moves in. There's the front, but with high pressure to the north and another high out here. Again, El Nino makes a lot of high pressure up here, and that limits the rainmakers coming in to the top of the country. That's the reason why the rain we've got today is actually not really a bad thing, unless it's too much of a good thing, which does sometimes happen. But you've got the wet weather here through on Thursday, and then by Friday, that low also falls apart. and crumbles. And so rainfall totals won't be huge, dries out in the north, dries out in the south, and eastern areas won't be seeing much in the way of rain, although you will get a few spits here and there. And in Australia, not too stormy or unsettled, although pretty warm if you're out here over towards Perth. And as we go into the weekend, our final map shows thunderstorms bubbling up around parts of Australia there inland across the day, and New Zealand returns to a more traditional sou'wester. Normally in November, we get more blocks of high pressure like this one coming in. El Nino encourages more high pressure in the Australia area, which they are very much getting, although it is a little more unusual to be seeing these easterlies and showers coming through, but I don't think you'll get any complaints from Australians about that one. They will be happy for the rain, I would imagine. And in New Zealand, much drier forecast going into this coming weekend for the first weekend of November. That is all from me for now. We'll be back again on Tuesday. Don't forget, this week we've got our next Climate Watch update. That's coming out on Wednesday. And we'll really be looking at, is this El Nino broken? Because we measure El Nino at the equator where it is very strong at the equator, but what does it mean weather-wise for us halfway to Antarctica? And seeing warmer than average conditions in the tropics and parts of the Tasman are breaking this El Nino weather pattern a little bit for us. It's not all bad news, but it means it's just a little bit complicated to explain. So hopefully this week in Climate Watch, we can break that down for you. So we'll see you again tomorrow, Tuesday, with our next update. But don't forget Climate Watch coming out on Wednesday. Have a great week ahead.